Dying in your teeth.
Good evening, everyone.
Exactly.
It is now 9:02. And I will call this budget work session of the Burnsville City Council. Okay, are you okay now? Can we go?
There's something.
Sounds like the opening of an ACDC concert.
Yeah. Tonight's budget work session is conducted both in person and online. And members of the public can attend in person if they like, or the public can also watch this meeting online at burnsvillemn.gov/meetings or on Comcast channel 16 or 859. The public can also participate through Zoom by joining us at zoom.us/join. More information is available on our meetings webpage and in the council agenda packet. This is a special council budget work session, and we'll go directly to our presentations. This is the department budget presentations to the City Council. And the first, we're going to be hearing from Human Resources, Public Works, and Community Development. So Director Mike Tracy is first on deck with who is our Human Resource Director. Greg, did you want to make any remarks, or are you just going to go directly to
Madam
our
Mayor,
directors?
I'm going to go directly to our directors. I can read a room.
Okay. Director Mike Tracy, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I'm excited to share the HR strategic plan with you all this evening. I'm going to start with just talking about who we are as a department. So we exist to take care of our employees. We do this in a couple different ways. We make sure that our teams, our managers, our employees feel supported and cared for. We also make sure that the organization is complying with all federal, state, local employment regulations as well too. And how do we do that? The things that we do on a daily basis is we oversee the compensation plan for our employees, and really what that means is a number of different things. So it includes just basic administration of our comp plan, making sure people are progressing through the steps as they should be. It means being tasked with monitoring and reviewing our position descriptions and our position evaluation system, making sure that we have internal equity and alignment within our organization, as well as conducting market analysis amongst our comparable market cities to make sure that we're following our compensation philosophy of lead the market. And then maybe the most important thing is we do bi-weekly payroll processing, so making sure people are paid accurately and on time every 2 weeks. We also manage our employee benefit offerings. We assist managers with staffing and recruiting to make sure they have the right people in the right job, as well as advising them on performance management or employee relations issues or concerns as they come up. We also promote employee well-being and safety. We take care of our staff through workers' compensation and leave of absence management, so walking them through what that process looks like as they go through those situations. And then managing labor relations with our 5 bargaining groups. Where are we going? So we know that the labor market is incredibly competitive, especially when we look at some of our most important positions in public safety. So our focus is to making sure that we can attract and retain top talent. And to do that, we need to make sure that we're enhancing the employee experience and investing in their well-being. So you'll see that theme throughout our strategic plan in front of you. So the 3 major things that we as a department are focusing on is implementing and documenting best practices, investing in the health and well-being of our staff, and then providing employee-centered service. So for best practices, a key thing is making sure that we're evaluating our processes. So we have a lot of things that we've done for a number of different years because that's the way that we've always done them. I think it's important that we take time to evaluate, is that working for the organization? Is that the way that we want to do things? And then document them to make sure that we're, again, meeting the needs of the organization and setting the organization up for long-term success. Investing in our well-being, so continuing to look for creative ways to be on the leading edge of employee well-being and ensure staff are cared for so we can make sure that we're taking care of the community. And then providing employee-centered service. The experience that employees have with HR matters. We are usually the first people that they meet, and we're the last people that they meet in many cases when they're coming and leaving the organization. So we want to continue to enhance and improve our level of service to make sure that we're meeting those needs of the employees. So to do that, implementing and documenting those best practices. A big one for us is payroll. As I mentioned, that's probably one of the most important things that we do. I think our employees would definitely agree with that. So making sure that we're well documented there, we have cross-training, that we are able to meet that need long into the future. As well as, again, just evaluating our basic HR service delivery processes and procedures, looking at things differently so we're not just doing the things the same way just because that's how we've always done it. And then leveraging technology to improve efficiency in processes. So working with IT and some of our other partners to make sure that we do that. Investing in the health and well-being of staff, so continuing to try to increase access to mental health resources. Continue to monitor our pay and benefits in comparison to the market to make sure that we are competitive and attractive for our staff. And then continue to evaluate and recommend employee and community-friendly policies. And then the employee-centered service, so again, ensuring cross-training and backup supports are in place. So if we have staff out on vacation or absent, that employee service doesn't suffer. And then looking to revamp and enhance our employee onboarding and offboarding experience to make sure that we're creating great experiences for those employees. And then continuing just to focus on our own HR staff development to make sure that they're experts and they're confident in their ability to serve the organization. And then lastly, just looking at the challenges. So none of these are insurmountable by any means, but they're important for us to keep in mind. So again, the lack of documented processes and cross-training is something that we need to make sure that we address, and we will. Our technology systems are, in some cases, a little dated, and we have some plans in place over the next couple of years to hopefully improve those and enhance those systems. And then the rising labor and insurance costs and labor market challenges are outside of our control, but definitely will be impacting us into the future. And then the evolving employee well-being needs, making sure that we're staying on top of those and making sure our employees are well taken care of. So that's, yeah, with that, no. I'll stand for any
Well
questions.
done. We'll just read everything else that you have. Thank you very much.
Can you run through that one more time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Mark
Good evening, Mayor and
Ray,
council
our
members.
Public Works Director. Floor is yours.
Yep, I'll just recap HR here quick. So who are we? We really exist to make normal happen for our community. We have really 6 different divisions: engineering, fleet, natural resources, parks maintenance, street maintenance, who also does stormwater management, and then water and wastewater. Where are we now? We're working together through some needed change, kind of reflecting on some processes we have, looking for improvements, and in how we do stuff and how we think about stuff and how we approach stuff. I'm still new to the organization, and with 75 staff and 50 seasonal staff, I'm still getting to know people, have most of the names down. We're still getting there, and then just really kind of establishing that rapport with people and learning how we work together. Then obviously we're doing all that while still continuing to provide those essential services for our residents. So when they wake up, the water's there, it goes down the drain like it should and doesn't come back. And when it rains, we're not having damage in the community, as well as providing safe ways for people to go wherever they need to go and providing mental health opportunities in our park system. One of those things is kind of with the direction we're headed is we're looking to operationalize relationships and processes. So what does that mean? As I get to know people, as we get to learn processes, we're just sharing information and we're moving it kind of developing that muscle memory for how we do stuff and how information moves around. A great example of that is earlier this year you approved the relationship with, or authorized the agreement with Waze. So making sure we have natural workflows now, so we have a person who can set those closures when things come up, making sure they're getting that information on a regular basis to keep that current. Really one of my philosophies in approaching the job is just push the resources as close to service delivery as possible. You know, we exist to make normal happen, so how do we get the resources as close to our staff that are in the parks, on the streets, doing the work to provide the service every day? And then really as we look at just across our group, you know, we're looking at fundamentals and how we look at how we do stuff and how we approach stuff, and we make sure that we're thinking about it in the right way and approaching it, and getting those fundamentals down, and then we'll build on that. And as we spend dollars and build stuff, or we build it with maintenance in mind. I wanted to tell my staff is I don't want our future selves to hate our current selves for a decision we made today. So let's not do that. How do I define success? You know, how is staff time being spent in relation to service delivery? You know, are staff looking for information, or do they have it at their fingertips so they can go out there and do the job quick? Are we doing the right thing? Understanding the right thing is kind of a nebulous term, but it accounts for financial and community impact. But really take that moment and think about, hey, based on what I know, is this the right way to approach it? What are the complaints we're receiving? You know, a complaint of you're not doing something fast enough is a whole lot different than a complaint of, well, you're just not doing something. So using that to gauge where we're at in the services we're delivering. Our staff engaged. I want our staff to feel valued. I want them to feel like they make a difference. And so just trying to get that feedback from them as we work through fundamentals and look at our processes. And really, are we being good stewards with the resources, right? I mean, we want to do good things. I can tell you the staff is committed to doing good things. And so how can I just further create and support that environment with your help to let them do that and do it in a really thoughtful way? Long term, how are we going to get there? Obviously, it takes time for change. It takes time to review stuff. Persistence. You got to stick with it. You know, with Public Works, it's a long game, not a short game. And so it's just that constant persistence and just continue to chip away. Obviously, it's very important we continue to build culture through our managers. Because we're a very diverse group, and we have managers that do a lot of really different things. And so are we meeting them where they're at so they can support their staff, so they can deliver services to our community? And then obviously, you know, your support. We cannot do what we do without your support. And so that is not lost on us. And so if there's more I can do to just talk about Public Works and educate, by all means, reach out. I love it, but just know that you matter and you play a vital role in that. Some of the current challenges we're focusing, obviously change. Change is always happening. I tend to lean on I try to drive change as compared to just have to respond to change. But it's still a process. There are some tough financial realities out there. We're not naive to that. We're not. That is our reality, and we will do the best we can with what we have. And so that's where that partnership is very appreciated with you all. Then obviously, I'm not sure why it says impatience. Oh yeah, I do know why. It's because I'm impatient. I want change and I want it now. And so for me, one of the things, and this isn't new, is just being okay with time playing out, and that it's a long game, not a short game. That joke probably didn't work at this hour. The three most important things is obviously for us, what we do is we operate and maintain our critical infrastructure, and that is not lost every single day. Sustainable development enhancements, that's not just environmentally, that's financially, that's staff time. It's a kind of a holistic approach to sustainability. And then obviously engaging with our staff and creating a culture within that Public Works. I want people to think of it as Burnsville Public Works, not, you know, I'm necessarily in parks or streets, but really kind of that we are one team. And with a large group that does very different things, there are challenges with that. But that's something that's important to me, and I think important to delivering for our residents. That's all I got. Any questions?
Well, you've got a lot of nice things going. Well, it's the same with you, and you've added. But anyway, I'm not going to ask a lot of questions, but when I see you guys on our individual meetings, then I can ask though. But, I mean, I really like the background material. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I like that you say that you're also public safety, because when there are natural disasters or any of those things, you're at the front end. And now we have our Deputy City Manager, Community Development Director, Jeff Thompson. Floor is yours.
So So, Mayor and Council, so as you know, community development exists really within the organization to work collaboratively with our residents and our business community to drive and help the community grow and prosper. I mean, that's our key function within the community. We have 3 service teams in community development, planning and economic development, building inspections, and neighborhood services. So where are we now? Some of these things will sound very familiar to you, right? We continue to use data, community input, and a review of our peer communities, both locally and nationally, to start to inform our new economic development strategic framework. And that work continues this year, and then we'll, with the goal of getting that wrapped up yet this year. As part of that, as you know, we are also just assessing our infrastructure, our housing and our commercial property infrastructure to understand both what our housing needs and what our housing infrastructure is, but also from a development and commercial building standpoint, what we have from a building asset standpoint. And we continue to enhance our customer experience with online permitting and our mobile app inspections. We know that the priority for how people like to receive service is largely electronic, and so we continue to ensure that we're investing in enhancing those services, and making them easier for people to interact with and gain services from our department. And then what also we're working on is, as you know, the council adopted amendments to the rental housing license last year. So we've been working diligently on implementing the changes and the program components of that. For example, the licensing of property managers. We've kind of rolled that out this year to ensure that there's kind of advanced training for those folks to ensure safe and healthy housing. And then we continue to implement the neighborhood services model to focus on our outreach and education for residents and neighborhoods as we work towards kind of property management and property maintenance within the community. Where are we going? These are the 3 same priorities we talked about last year in our strategic plan. We think they're still the right ones. And so the 3 most important things we're doing are supporting economic development in Burnsville, supporting investments in our housing, and then also just focusing on our service to the community, because everyone in community development is really positioned is directly involved in direct service to the Burnsville community. To support economic development, our commitments are we will complete the economic development strategic framework this year, and then begin implementing the strategies that are outlined in that plan going forward. And then we will also update the zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations. There's been some delay on that from a staffing standpoint, but we now have our new planning manager who's here, been here a couple weeks now, and he is well aware that this is one of the highest priorities of that position, is to lead the changes and development of our updates to our zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations. On the housing front, the 2 things we're committed to doing are to complete that housing and commercial property inventory, getting that wrapped up this year. And then secondly, developing and implementing programs for the state local affordable housing aid that the legislature passed last session. So we've done obviously some of the background research on the executive summary of that, but in September we are planning on coming back to the council with some options for the council's consideration on outcomes associated with using those funds. And then on our service to the community, we're committed to continuing to implement that neighborhood services model. It's an ongoing process that we'll continue to implement and change. We also are planning on just implementing improvements to our development review process, and then just changing some of changing what we call the protective inspections team really is a building safety division, and because they're really about ensuring that new construction and construction is safe. So a couple of our current challenges is the zoning regulations are a significant challenge for us, right? They're a challenge for the community because they are difficult to at times understand, and it can be cumbersome, so it creates challenges for our businesses and residents, but it also just creates challenges for us at a staff level. So the updates to that are important to provide better service to the community, but also kind of a streamlined service for our staff. And then we continue to see the aging of our housing infrastructure, particularly the multifamily, continuing to have safety and property maintenance issues for some of those properties in Burnsville. So that continues to be a challenge. And then the last 2 is we are seeing an increase. I think the neighborhood services model is great, and it also sees us being involved in more kind of non-city related neighborhood disputes. And so just navigating the time and resources to ensure that we're doing that and doing that well and providing people with that's not our job, but rather how can we help provide resources and tools for people to work and be better neighbors with each other.
We have a new city logo shirt that's black and white, vertical stripes.
Like a referee.
That you would go out in a
Like a referee.
Gotta have a whistle.
and a whistle.
A flag. I like that job. And then we just see, with the building technology stuff, we do see an increased specialization in building inspection things, right? The energy codes are more detailed, so there's just, the technologies are advanced now that the state has very more specialized requirements for each of our inspectors in each of the trades areas, which just creates challenges for making sure that we have kind of inspectors that can do multiple things and making sure that we're effective in how we kind of deliver that service. So it's a challenge that we have, we navigate it, but as we think about building inspections teams, that's an issue we need to work through. So in terms of our budget looking forward, we are certainly focused on providing excellent service to the community and doing that through kind of an effective and efficient use of our resources, our positions within the department, and looking at those, but also prioritizing employee engagement through ensuring people have the right materials and tools that they need to do their job right, and then ensuring that all staff are encouraged and have opportunities for growth and development through training and professional development. So with that, my next is just a history of Euclidean zoning that I want to walk
The
through.
three of you just zoom through all of that from 902 in a very efficient way. And the five of us all said that we weren't going to ask any questions.
We should have set that ground rule when we started this meeting tonight at 5:30.
No, we're going to just make sure, Vince says, okay, no questions.
Well, I really want to ask about non-city related disputes, but I can talk to Jeff offline about that.
Because we have some, and I don't know, Hugo, were you looking at a service that administrative?
Madam Mayor, council members, Greg and I are both looking at some ways to streamline and kind of ameliorate community complaints, and whether it's a mediation or ombudsman type of program or not, we're just scratching the surface on it. But
We used to have a mediation service because we have a lot of those complaints, and we've been dealing with one.
Is that like, my neighbor's floodlight is shining in my window kind of stuff?
No, people.
Mayor and council, it's less to do with, it's not changing how we enforce the regulations that the council has adopted. It's recognizing in some circumstances it's issues beyond what our code would require, and it maybe just be neighborhoods not getting along, or neighbors not getting along, or just not being neighborly. And the most classic example is like a dispute around a property line, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're encroaching on their property, or they dispute where the property line is, right? We don't have a legal role in that, but we certainly have a convening and resource opportunity to make sure that neighborhoods are supported to solve issues that they're experiencing with their neighbors.
Sorry.
Sometimes people share the same driveway, but then who's going to be taking care of, not our problem.
I think it's a good question, because it's an important staff resource, and more importantly, community resource question for us, right? We've recognized, and Jeff and his team have done a really great job of reimagining and implementing the neighborhood services function to really reflect the council's policy position. That's our job, right? From a staff perspective, to best meet the community's needs. What we've recognized is, the more interaction that neighborhood services has had, the more requests or the more difficult situations that our team has encountered in the types of circumstances where really the city doesn't have an enforcement or an educational role. So said another way, rather than saying, no, we can't help you, have a nice day, we're talking about how do we create a scenario where we can say, no, that's not part of the city's code or the city's role. However, it is a part of the city's role to make sure that we have strong neighborhoods and that we're helping to encourage good communication between neighbors. And if you voluntarily and mutually agree to participate in X, Y, or Z service, here are some options or opportunities we might be able to offer you. Again, before we would implement anything like that, we'll come to you to have the conversation. But we see as a staff resource and frankly just as a service delivery model, the importance of us not just having to say no to someone who's concerned about something, but rather at least providing an option or an opportunity to resolve conflict or address the situation and help the people of our community and our neighbors do that with each other should they choose.
I think
And
that's
to live in
wonderful,
harmony.
Greg, and especially because we're seeing a lot of communities react to, well, we're not showing up unless there's blood in the street, right? We're making an effort to participate and help resolve problems, and then I feel like that also takes some of the heat off of PD, because I think the default is, well, I'm just going to call the cops if you're not going to do what I ask or what have you. So I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that.
Okay. Is there anything else before we adjourn?
Are you sure?
Because,
I appreciate the council's attention. I know that it's been a long evening. The three departments that presented tonight are as important as the other 11 that you'll
Yeah.
hear from.
Yeah.
And you heard from three people who really care about the community and care about supporting their teams this evening. And that's an important part of how we put a budget together. So
Yeah.
thanks for the time and
Yeah.
attention
and
and to our
I
staff
just,
who put
and
the
I
effort
just
in.
want to say to Mike and Mark and Jeff, really well done. I mean, in reading through your report to all of us. And Bethany's not here, but the format you all have now, starting
Yes.
from at the beginning with parks and all of that, it is so much more aligned, so I can look at everything that you all are talking about, what's going well, what isn't going well, what are the three things, and then you're going from, how are you working on it from 2023, 24, 25, and 26. It's flowing very well that I can say, okay, yeah. And then you also identify who's working on what project. And then you give the outline of your whole staff and all of that. And that's really, really nice, so that when we're working on all of these things, from a budgetary standpoint, because that's what all of this, you see how it's all aligned. And that I'm thinking, hey, performance evaluation, you do these three things, done. Yeah, because all of you are working on it, and it's all now flowing the same way. So, thank you so much. I learn a lot, so I appreciate it. If there is nothing else, yes, Dan?
Just one comment about, I mean, these presentations might sound to the general public like each of our departments operates in a silo, but they really don't. And
No.
maybe one thing that I would recommend is how, maybe it's a finish to your department presentation, is how you collaborate with the other departments. You know, just verbalizing.
Yeah.
Because that's been, I think, a cornerstone of the success of the city
Yeah.
for decades, is
No silos.
having, exactly, no silos, having really good people in each department do really good work. But part of their success is also the collaboration with other departments around them that they may overlap with.
And every one of their
Just hearing a little
pages.
piece of that sort of,
Yeah.
I think would be helpful.
And every one of their pages, and this is on the budget portal, correct? All of these are on the budget portal, so people can go and look at it. And they can see all of this and how it ties together in every department. And so, it's really well done, so, thank you. And with that, if there are no other comments or questions, we stand adjourned by acclamation. Thank you, everyone.